Dad. Welcome.
Think of the use of nutritional supplements as foundation. This is the foundation that everything else is built upon. When I looked this over the first time, I said to Dr. Chang, I said, well, where's the vitamin D? Because we need more vitamin D. And he said to me, you know what? We don't put extra vitamin D in here because vitamin D is inexpensive. You have 7 capsules in there. But to add another capsule wouldn't be effective. It's not good business. It's not good to tell a patient, now you got another capsule in there. If they want vitamin D, they can take it. Also, CoQ10. We know in Dr. Land that we use CoQ10 to, God bless you, to avert the problems with statins. And we want people to take between 100 and 300 milligrams of CoQ10. Well, our product, nano Q10, has 30 milligrams of nano, which is the equivalent of 150 to 300 milligrams of other stuff on the market. And we'll go over how I come to those numbers. I'm not just throwing it out here. Different aspects of the body. We don't just treat one thing. It's like the studies that we started to review. It's not about taking enough vitamin E to lower your risk for heart disease. It's about taking something so your whole body works at its optimal way. For brain health, we know about omega-3 fatty acids. Well, did you know that the krill oil helps to pass the blood-brain barrier, so krill oil actually gets absorbed better than omega-3s, regular fish oils. So we have krill in our product. The vitamin E, this is one of my favorites. I learned this from Dr. Mastalutis, who had a PhD in vitamin E. There are 8 forms of vitamin E. There's L isomers and D isomers, and there's an alpha, beta, gamma, delta in each of those. And if you take a look at inexpensive products of vitamin E, you'll see that alpha tocopherol, or alpha vitamin E, is not as potent as the other components when they're all combined. Well, that takes cost. That takes effort. That's one reason why this supplement costs more than a Centrum. The phytonutrients, the proanthocyanidins, these nutrients are so potent, antioxidant potential. It's not just about one, it's about combining them. Alpha-lipoic acid, this is also not an inexpensive product. It helps a lot with brain health. It's a very potent antioxidant. Cardiovascular health. There was a study that said taking calcium is bad for your heart, right? Well, realizing that studies really need to be dissected to understand what that's about. But calcium is a very poorly absorbed mineral. Calcium's a rock. The way that you absorb things is when you ingest them, your intestines are fat soluble, water soluble, and you're trying to absorb rocks. Well, calcium comes in many components. There's a calcium carbonate, Tums. There's calcium malate. And calcium malate is what is in our product and helps you absorb and have less side effects. One of my patients has our calcium bone formula product. And the reason why she gets it from me all the time is she can't tolerate any other form of it. So that's all she uses. We know about resveratrol. There were studies that said that if you have 2 glasses of wine a day, the study was actually from upstate New York red wine, the concentrations of resveratrol in there will help lower your risk of heart disease. Well-known studies. That doesn't mean that if you have more, it's better. But, I don't want to draw that conclusion. But the thing about resveratrol is there are companies out there that are saying that is the anti-aging compound that you need to have. Take X amount of milligrams. Well, how do we know the safety associated with that? We do know the safety associated with the amount of resveratrol in our product because it's equal to the amount of resveratrol in 2 glasses of red wine, minus the red wine. And that was put into the product because of the studies that are out there. All the studies that are taken from the human literature that go into this product is what validates why things are in there. So you may see on the latest study that, oh, you need more of this and more of that, Or one of my nutritional doctor friends who gets their degrees from other places, they'll talk about the micronutrients. You don't have enough of this, and you don't have enough of that. The point is, we're looking to treat 80 to 90%, let me rephrase that. We're looking to recommend 80 to 90% of the appropriate nutrition for the population out there, because they don't have it. If they need further nutrition, that's where their recommendations will be, specific for them. The B vitamins are a very inexpensive form of vitamin B, but we have the appropriate amounts of each. The CoQ10 I mentioned, we talk about bone health. Most people know that you need calcium, but calcium without magnesium is very, very ineffective. You need both components. There are things called cofactors, and cofactors are the substances that allow a reaction to go from here to there. They're catalysts. And the catalysts are made of a bunch of micronutrients, magnesium and manganese being two of them, zinc being another. Very, very important cofactors. And vitamin K. We think about vitamin K. Vitamin K helps vitamin D work better. The body doesn't work in single units. Things work synergistically. Copper also. Copper is a micronutrient. You don't need a lot of it. You get too much, it's not good for you. So they have just the appropriate amount. The immune system, one of the most complex aspects of our body. I mentioned before in an earlier reference about selenium being in a product that was 1,000 times more than you need. It's a perfect example of having a micronutrient in macronutrient amounts causing a lot of harm. Remember, it's all about safety. And you'll see that there are a lot of substances here that are redundant, because copper works on the bone and it works in the immune system. The body is complex. Vitamin C. Vitamin C is an acid, ascorbic acid. If you take too much of it, it'll put a hole in you. It's very important that it's buffered, that it's esterified, that you have it in an appropriate form so your body doesn't have side effects. How much is in there? That's another very interesting thing. The amount of nutrients, if they're well absorbed, like the calcium, you don't need to have as much of it. CoQ10 as well. If you're absorbing a lot of calcium from our product, you don't need to have 1 or 2 grams, 1,000 to 2,000 milligrams. It's recommended to have 1,000 milligrams a day of calcium if you're not menopausal. If you're menopausal and you're subjected to developing osteoporosis, they up it to 1,500. That's the calcium that they've studied. Our calcium is much more absorbed. I can't give you the recommendations that's appropriate for that, but this is very much for someone who's not osteoporotic, who's looking for the appropriate doses to lower their risk. For eye health, remember where the scanner came from. It came from Moran Eye Institute, University of Utah. They did a lot of macular degeneration research. This LifePak Nano formula is so competent when it comes to carotenoids. The ophthalmologists that I work with tell me that it's the best thing on the market for them. And it's because astaxanthin, zeaxanthin, these carotenoids all work together to raise your score so we can actually see that they're getting where they need to go. And the omega-3 fatty acids also provide a fat-based environment so you can absorb these. Because remember, without fat, you can't absorb carotenoids. Carotenoids are fat-soluble. So you need something fat in your diet to absorb them. So not only do you have the fish oils in the LifePak Nano, but it's recommended that when you eat your food, that you have some fat in your diet. How much is some? At least a teaspoon. These polyphenols. The polyphenols are not an inexpensive supplement. And the multivitamins out there have very few. I saw an advertisement that said, you know, whatever multivitamin was, I think it was Centrum, now with polyphenols. Well, it's kind of like my story before. If you have a plant that is used for health-related factors, and you don't go to the source of the plant that's appropriate, whether it's the leaf or the stem or the root, you can say you have it. But how do you know if you have enough? How do you know if you have the correct amount? The 6S process is part of this process that allows us to tell you, well, I have the correct amount of this, it's not going to cause problems. Once again, all of these cofactors in here. The alpha tocopherol here of 200 units, along with all the other tocopherols, are critical. And your immune system knows the difference. The skin health. As we know, the scanner came out of eye research. New Skin, the company, came out of